Welcome back to another episode of Web3 with Whitney. This is day 4. My intention is to go live every single day until I decide not to anymore. So we'll see how long this lasts. If you're brand new to this show, I talk about Web3, and today I actually have a fancy little graphic to put up on the screen for those of you who are brand new, who don't know what Web3 is. It feels really confusing. The aim of this show is to reduce confusion so that you don't feel out of the loop, especially if you've been hearing this term floating around the web and have not felt comfortable looking into it, asking questions. My whole aim with this daily show is to hold a space where we can discuss this. You can come ask me questions. You can do your own research while you're listening. You can listen to the recording. And I'm excited to share with you some things I've been working on today behind the scenes. But again, in case you're brand new, especially for my Facebook friends out there, I decided today to include my personal Facebook account in these live streams. I've been broadcasting to one of my Facebook pages, plus YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Twitter, and TikTok. So I think that's six different platforms. If you're brand new, I just want to start off here with sharing what's on the screen here, which is what Web3 is. A really simple way to say it, maybe not to understand it, but a way to phrase it is that Web3 is a decentralized version of the internet that runs on a blockchain. Now, that may sound like gibberish if you are not familiar with what decentralized means and the blockchain means. And, I'm very familiar with those terms in hearing them, but I'm actually not that familiar in talking about them. So, part of my aim with this daily show is to practice talking about Web3 because I want to incorporate that into my coaching business, my consulting, advisory, all of these things that I do to talk about marketing and social media. It's all interconnected. I'm also going to start up my TikTok live stream, which is not connected to this one. So you're right here, but my TikTok is down here. Fingers crossed it works today. Yesterday, I tested out TikTok for the first time, and actually my whole computer went haywire. So I also want to give a heads up that there are recordings, as I mentioned, of each episode. And for some reason on LinkedIn, it's been breaking it up into different recordings. It's just been a little bit of a mess, but I'm only 4 days in, so I've got a lot of practice. And hey to Kim, who's watching live, excited to have you here. And again, at any point you have questions, or maybe I say something and you're not familiar with it, please stop me. And if you're watching the recording, write me a comment, send me an email or a message. I want to talk about this on every level possible. So I'm going to start the TikTok live, and I'll be my eyes will be going back and forth between it, depending on how active it gets over there. All right, so I wanted to share with you a little behind the scenes of what I've been working on with just this whole platform with Web3 with Whitney. Today I decided that I wanted to turn this into an audio podcast as well, mainly because these series tend to be kind of long. They're anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes to an hour. And because I do so much podcasting, I thought it would be appropriate to turn this into a podcast. So if you want to multitask, you want to do some other things, you could actually go and listen to it. So if you're watching anywhere else except for TikTok, because I can't share my screen, let me bring this up over for you to see. I created this website today. That's just a landing page, and there's a couple things on here. One is that you can start to join the Discord server community. And if you haven't listened to my last few episodes in this series, I talked more in depth about Discord. And for those of you that are watching on Facebook, it's very similar to a Facebook group, but you're not on social media, so that's kind of nice. So if you want to join the Discord server, that's available to you now at whitneylauritsen.com/web3 with Whitney. The URL is displaying on the screen right now where you can see that. And I also have the videos embedded, so there's a whole playlist if you are interested in going back and watching them from day one. And there's links to every platform. So again, it's YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok that I'm broadcasting live on every single day. Wish me luck. And then here's the audio recording. So when you go over to the audio recording or to this webpage, you can actually start to listen. I probably will not be uploading day 3 because that was my disaster day where the audio was cutting out. It was a huge mess. So that might be missing from there. And then at the bottom, there's information about joining the Discord. Right now, I'm keeping it exclusive to people that hold the Well coin on Rally. If you haven't heard me talk about that yet, that is my creator coin on this platform called Rally. And you can buy it right now. I think it's 15 cents a coin. So I'll be giving it Discord access to anybody who holds a coin, no matter slash creator slash well, or you can go to Rally and search for Whitney and my coin will pop right up. I'm also going to have it in the links, and of course it'll be on the Web3 with Whitney page. So that's a little behind the scenes about what I've been doing here. And yes, Kim asked, is this new? Yeah, so this is my day 4. She said she lost me. This is the thing with live streams, unfortunately, is there's just so many tech issues. I don't even know how to resolve some of them, which is it's frustrating. And I think this is actually something I'm going to keep coming back to over and over again, is that being consistent with things and moving forward despite the frustrations, despite the discomfort, despite the maybe you're not in the mood for it. Honestly, I was considering not doing the and the video's frozen, I guess, on LinkedIn. What can you do? I have to just persist. And that's why if I give you all the different platforms to choose from. So if you want to, if it's not working on one platform, you can go to another, and you always have the recordings, and hopefully those work. And if they don't, well, hopefully the audio recordings work. But these are the things you learn. And, you know, I wouldn't have learned about so many things if I had not committed to doing these live streams every day. And that's not just in terms of understanding how a live stream is working, but also figuring out just all these elements about talking about Web3. As I said from the beginning, I wanted to hold myself accountable for having these conversations and talking to people in real time, even if the video freezes and you know, there's a lag or whatever else. Like, we just have to keep going. And this is an important lesson for me to have to repeat to myself, because I've been a content creator since 2008. It's been a long journey, and even before that, I was technically creating content because I worked in the film industry. And you know, you learn every time you do a project. I look back on some of my short films that I made, and some of them make me cringe. But I'm proud for making them, right? I learned so much. And you learn the most just by doing things over and over again, and just accepting that the mistakes are going to happen. I've become a better speaker over time, every time, whether I'm speaking on stage or doing a live stream or on the podcast or whatever else I'm doing, I'm learning. And it's really uncomfortable to make mistakes publicly. I was hesitating to post this on my personal Facebook account for that reason. I was afraid that people were going to see me make mistakes, and I was going to be ashamed, embarrassed, that people would talk behind my back, that they would find it cringy. But actually, one thing I learned on TikTok is that it's important to keep going and do things even if people cringe. Because the truth is, you're either going to cringe at yourself, someone that you don't know is going to cringe, somebody that you do know might cringe out at whatever you're doing, or maybe no one will cringe. Maybe everybody will like what you're doing. Maybe you'll be lucky in that sense. But why would we stop doing something just because we don't feel like it's perfect? And that mentality is something a lot of us struggle with, right? So that ties into Web3, because I feel like I'm fumbling through Web3 right now. I feel like I'm still learning the language. I talked about this yesterday in the broadcast, how it reminds me of when I was learning French. And I felt so uncomfortable speaking French out loud, especially in the high school classrooms. And when I would go to Canada, where there were French-speaking regions of Canada, or France, or wherever else I happened to travel, I would love practicing French with people, and I love the people that accepted the fact that I was fumbling through it. I've been wanting to study Spanish, and I've picked it up here and there, especially living in Los Angeles. I hear it often, I see it often. Um, and there were times where I was trying to practice Spanish, and I remember this one in particular. I was at a Mexican restaurant ordering like a burrito, and I ordered in Spanish, and I heard someone behind me say something condescending in Spanish, but I recognized what they said, and I was so embarrassed. It was like, ugh, this just hurts because I'm trying so hard, and I'm not trying to like, I don't even know like why they were upset with me. Maybe they just feel, I mean, there's a whole disparity issue, and maybe when a white person looks like they're trying to take someone's culture or blend in or culturally appropriate, it can trigger people, sure, and that's not something that I can fully understand. Um, but I think it's important that we learn to embrace the fact that people are fumbling through a lot. And the more that we criticize people, make fun of them, or cringe in public or private or gossip about them, it actually holds all of us back. Gossip does not help anybody. It just makes the person who's gossiping feel good because they're getting some little burst of serotonin for the moment. But ultimately, it's not helping you move forward to gossip about someone else. Maybe it plants a side every day around, I don't even know how long I've been streaming for, 10 minutes or so. It stops. And I found that my YouTube videos and I think Facebook, those are fine, but like Twitter and LinkedIn, multiple pieces. So if you're on any of those platforms, bear with me. I gotta maybe look deeper into troubleshooting it. I'm using this tool called Restream that allows you to stream to multiple platforms at once. And the only one that I'm on truly live with is TikTok right now. So along with streaming to all these different platforms, I've run into countless issues. So that's why I'm putting it all together. The audio streams for this podcast are all combined. So if you're getting frustrated with the broken up videos, either go to YouTube and watch the recordings or go to the audio live stream and just listen to them, and they'll be all together. So now that some people are joining on TikTok, I want to open this up, remind you that there are questions. You can leave statements, whatever you'd like. I actually got a comment on a TikTok that I had made on my actual platform, not a live. Somebody asking about the environmental effects of crypto and NFTs, and that's something I definitely want to address more often. I think it's really important to talk about that. And honestly, I still have a lot to learn about that. I can share a few notes. So if you're brand new to Web3 with Whitney, I shared, I think in the very first video, day one, this is day 4, on day 1, I was talking about how my process of learning Web3 has been taking a lot of notes. And I use Notion to compile all my notes. And I've been doing this for probably a month or so. And every time I learn something new about Web3, I get a question, I'm putting in some research, I put it in my Notion document. And that way I can learn it, but I can also share it on these live streams. So I want to pull up some of the few notes I have on the environmental side of things to address that question. And I'm going to share my screen for anybody who's watching outside of TikTok. You can see my screen as I share it. So the major contributor to the carbon footprint of NFTs in particular, and I'll actually circle back around because I haven't fully defined NFTs on Web3 with Whitney yet, so I will come back to that. But just as a starting point, the major contributor to the carbon footprint of them on Ethereum, at least, is the electricity required to support the hash rate, which I don't know what that means, needed for proof of work. This is not required on a proof of authority sidechain. A little bit of gibberish for me, but the trade-off is centralization. Now, what I can speak a little bit more to is in terms of Rally, and I mentioned that's where I have my creator coin, the Well coin, on. Rally is actually doing a lot of work to make things eco-friendly, which is part of the reason I am proud to be on that platform. Because their NFTs are minted on the private sidechain, there is no proof of work algorithm required, meaning that the environmental impact is far less for Rally NFTs than NFTs that are minted on the main net. So I imagine, again, I'm a little ignorant here, still learning, but I imagine that the mainnet NFTs would be something like OpenSea. And if you've looked into NFTs or you paid a little attention, you've probably heard of the website OpenSea. And this is like the most popular, well-known platform for NFTs right now. Now, there are plenty of places for you to buy them. And Rally, I think, is kind of cool because it's on that private side chain and they're really prioritizing the environmental element of things. So I promised that I would circle back around talking more about NFTs, so maybe that can be the focus here. I want to ask you, whether you're listening live, watching live, or the recording, have you either thought about it, have you looked into them, have you started saving money, where are you at, or are you completely unfamiliar with NFTs? No judgment here, but if you want to drop it in the chat, I'd love to just know a little bit more about where you're at in particular, because I think it's important for all of us to just kind of like measure where we're at today. And actually, if you want to kind of like work on your journey, one great thing to do with any form of education is to take notes on it, like in a journal or in a calendar or somewhere. You could use Notion like I do, and you can track your progress. So maybe starting today, you can write down like, I have no idea what NFT is, but this is what I learned. Or I'm really interested in NFTs, but I haven't bought one yet. Or I've bought NFTs and, etc. Whatever you want to put, if you want to nerd out with that. But let me share a little definition. I've taken a ton of notes on NFT in order to talk about them more. So here they are on my other screen, which I'm going to read from. So NFTs stand for non-fungible, meaning that each item is unique. I've heard the term non-fungible token a ton, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but it's just another way of saying that something is unique. And a really quick way of explaining that is if you have a print of the Mona Lisa, it's not the actual Mona Lisa, right? So there could be tons of prints, and if you own a print of the Mona Lisa, it's not unique and it's not actual. All right, so another way to understand an NFT is that it's a digital asset built on the blockchain with a unique identifier, giving it a certificate of authenticity and ownership. And this is really key too when you're learning about Web3. That word ownership comes up a lot, and that's part of what makes Web3 very exciting, very appealing. This is why people are really interested in NFTs. And I hear a lot of conversations of people just not fully understanding the value of NFTs. And frankly, I'm still learning that too. It's still a bit confusing. I have a few of them. I think maybe bought a couple. I was gifted a few. None of them seem super valuable. I don't know if they're going to increase in value. I could try to sell them. It's a complicated thing. And one of my favorite resources that I've mentioned on the podcast before is my friend Brian's podcast, which is called NFT 365. If you're trying to learn more about NFTs and finding them confusing, maybe you want to buy them or sell them or just be in the know, go check out the NFT 365 podcast. He actually inspired me to do this show because I was thinking, wow, like what a great way to learn and teach other people than going and doing something every single day. So I will link to that in the notes for this episode if you want to go check that out. But I'm going to bring back up my notes on NFTs. And, NFTs can be so many different things. They could be a digital art piece. That's probably the most popular thing that we're seeing right now. They could be a plot of virtual land, which I'm seeing people doing, and I feel very confused by. I'm like, why do you need to own digital land? When I see, and I actually have to, hold on, let me pause the thought for a second because my computer is not enjoying the live stream. Come on. This is the struggle that I had yesterday when I was doing my episode is my computer, my computer's only 3.5 years old, and I'm trying to optimize it every way I can, and it's struggling with these live streams, so got to figure that out. So the NFTs are also part of something that really excites me, is the fact that they're creating a digital economy that is arming users with the power to assign value, and cutting out the middleman. And again, this is something I've said over and over again, pretty much anytime I talk about Web3, and what excites me is the power side of it, as I mentioned, the ownership side of it, the ability to be more in like relationship with people that are doing things like creating art, right? Whereas there's been a lot of middlemen involved. Even right now, I'm broadcasting on all these different platforms, and each platform is basically a middleman between you and me. So while you and I could get together, hypothetically, in person, there would be no middleman there. But whether you're watching on TikTok or whatever other platform I'm broadcasting on right now, or listening to the podcast version of this, there's somebody there that's kind of involved with making this connection happen. And that's usually a reference that people make when they're talking about Web 2, is that there's somebody else that's allowing our connection to happen. There's an algorithm at play, so that shows whether or not you see this content. You have to work so hard on both ends. So me as the creator, broadcaster, I might need to like use certain keywords, go live at certain times, like use certain thumbnails, whatever. There's so much effort that goes into reaching you, simply because I'm trying to reach you if you're interested, right? Some people want to reach you because they want to make money. Now, the platforms also want to make money from you, so they're invested in showing you content where they can make the most amount of money. But sometimes that's a disservice, right? What if you are really interested in this topic, but you never see it because the algorithm doesn't show it to you? What if like the platform's not working properly, like the issues I'm having today? Like that's where this middleman starts to get really frustrating, and I think takes away from our ability to have a really strong community. And as I've mentioned in multiple episodes of Web3 with Whitney, the community is at the core of all this. Like truly, when you're watching live, I want to hear from you. Like I want to know your thoughts and feelings on things. Like I want to do this together, so that we can learn from each other and really see each other as equals. And I think this issue with, where we've been with all these middlemen has just been taking away from all of that. So that's part of my big feelings on NFTs here. And tokens are also giving us property rights, which I think is really exciting. So as I mentioned, like you could own a digital piece of art, a plot of virtual land. So now you actually have the right to that property. And I was talking yesterday to somebody who is interested in using NFTs as a way of selling his artwork. And he's an art collector. And he's trying to think about like, whoa, what if he made an NFT not just to reach sellers, but give them added value and show them the certificate of authenticity and all of that. Just so there's like a stronger, there's like another layer, I suppose, of ownership there, right? Now, how easy that is to do, I'm not sure. This is where it gets a little complicated so far for me. But I think that's really interesting, is that this whole idea of digital property, especially given how much time we spend online. And you'll see so many companies and creators making NFTs these days because maybe they're interested in making the money. I mean, let's be honest, like right now it feels like a cash grab. And this is part of the NFT side of things that makes me feel a little uncomfortable, because each of us have to determine, like, is this NFT valuable, or is someone just trying to make money off of us? Is this NFT of value to me beyond the financial side of it, or is someone just trying to make money off? Am I getting scammed? This is something I've learned from the NFT 365 podcast, is like people will send you a free NFT, and that can often be a way for them to scam you if you like click on the link or something. So now you have to be so careful and savvy. And that's another big aim of mine, is to help you be savvy so you can protect yourself, so that you're not wasting your money or not getting scammed even when you're not spending money. And that side of the NFT world makes me frustrated and uncomfortable. But I think if we can become more savvy and know when to look out for those things, there are plenty of people that are creating NFTs that are deeply valuable, that hold a past to something. And This is another thing that you're seeing a lot, or I'm seeing a lot in the NFT world, is people using an NFT for you to get access to something. That could be a virtual membership. This could be a live event. This could be a virtual event. This could be something that I'm working on right now with my NFTs, is a pass to get some meditations, because my coin, the Well coin, is all rooted in well-being. And I want to give people a sense of well-being. So when they buy the NFT, they may feel excited about that. That might bring them joy and well-being on that level. But that actually gives them access to something beyond that. And then they could hold on to that NFT and have a deeper value that may increase their financial well-being, right? Their financial wellness. And hi to Chainsaw Games over on Twitch. I think you're my first Twitch comment. I part of my Web3 with Whitney exploration is getting to know Twitch more. I've had a Twitch account for like probably four years now, maybe 3, and I've barely ever used it. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna learn Twitch alongside with Discord and everything else I'm using. So thank you, Chainsaw, for being here today. It's so cool. Also, the names that people pick when they're on a platform like Twitch, and I think Twitch is a really interesting platform when it comes to looking at the Web3 world, because I think there's a lot of correlation there, which is fascinating. And yes, Chainsaw is asking, are you streaming somewhere else? Yeah, I'm streaming on 6 different platforms right now. So not just Twitch, but I have been streaming off and on other platforms for years. But anyway, so Twitch is interesting. Part of the reason that I want to learn it is because there's so much correlation with the gamer world, which is so big on Twitch, and the live streaming world, and how that intersects with Web3 and things like NFTs. And I'm sure those of you who are on Twitch are probably seeing a lot of crypto on there. You're seeing NFTs, you're getting gated access to things, you're able to, like, you know, there's this one other creator who's big on Twitch. Her name's Allie, and I can't remember her last name, but I found out about her through Rally, because I'm not a gamer. And she's really interesting because she's using her Rally creator coin to give people on Twitch like access to certain things, or they can gift her, like, you know, it's fascinating. And that is also very interconnected with what you're seeing with NFTs too. So I'm going to go back over to my NFT notes and see if there's anything else exciting to share there. And again, anyone watching live or the recording, send me a question if you have one. If I'm going too fast, if you want me to go back over something, let me know. As I mentioned, NFTs give users the ability to own objects, which could be art, photos, code, music. You're seeing a lot of musicians starting to use NFTs now, which is really cool. One thing I have heard a lot about is people buying the US Constitution, and a whole bunch of people in the crypto world came together to try to buy it for like $42 million. And I think they got outbid by someone else, and I don't know if that was a crypto thing or not, but it was fascinating because you can buy stuff like that that's of actual value. And music is something we're also valued, many of us value. And I think this is worth touching upon, because understanding what people can do when it comes to buying NFTs through musicians that's actually one of the greatest use cases, I think, right now. I'm going to pause for a second. Chainsaw said, I'm new here. Are you shilling about a crypto you made, or just talking? I love this. I love the honest question. So I do have a crypto coin, but I'm not here to shill it or whatever. I'm just talking about it in general. This series is designed just to talk about what I'm learning and doing in that Web3 world, and hear what other people are doing, and learn from each other. So thanks for being here. So back to the NFTs with musicians, and actually this intersects with creator coins too. So to Chainsaw's point, my creator coin is on this platform Rally. And in the beginning, there were a lot of Twitch people on there. There were Clubhouse people. There were entrepreneurs on there, a lot of like influencers and creators. But recently, I've been seeing athletes join Rally, and musicians join Rally. And they're using Rally in itself to create an economy around whatever they're creating. So that's fascinating too, because as I mentioned earlier, with Web3 being about ownership and cutting out the middleman, let's just say you have a favorite musician. You could buy the rights to that song, hypothetically. I don't know fully how rights work in music, but let's just say that. Or they have the like original version of it or something, and only you will own that. And other people could listen to that music, but you'll actually be the owner of it. And that gives you something of deep value, but that also creates a really deep relationship with that other person. And this is the other big thing that people are using crypto and NFTs for right now is just to develop those relationships and to be in conjunction with their community, versus the Web3 world right now is very much about oftentimes it's like a tier, almost like an MLM, where there's someone at the top that's getting the most benefit, the most value from what they're doing. And you might feel like you're at the bottom because you're just looking up and watching and maybe receiving the value of whatever that person might be giving and creating and making, but you're not actually financially invested in it. You don't have a lot of say or control. And we're used to that, but that's part of the shift that's happening now, is that we can start to get used to the fact that there is a full, deeper relationship happening that allows people more control and contribution. And Chainsaw on Twitch also asked, how do you feel about the Bitcoin island that's being made? This is the first I've heard of it, but I'm guessing, is it like an actual physical island where people can buy into it either to live there through Bitcoin only, or I'm trying to think, like I was talking about you can buy plots of land with crypto and NFTs these days. And yeah, the stream keeps going in and out, and I'm gonna have to learn how to troubleshoot that later on. So thanks for all your patience, everyone. It's out of my control in this moment. So yeah, I'll look into the Bitcoin island. I've not heard of that yet. So that's exciting. I mean, this is the other thing too. And one of the big reasons I'm doing this as a daily series, Web3 with Whitney, is every day there's news. Every day I'm learning something new. Every day there's new developments. There's so much going on. And it actually has really overwhelmed me. So my aim with these shows is to like break it down bit by bit, to learn from you, to share what I know, and to talk about things that are going on. One piece of news I saw today, and I think it just came out today on January 21st, is that Twitter now allows you to make your profile image an NFT, or to use an NFT that you have and add that to your profile image. And people had already been doing that. You've seen a lot with like the Bored Apes and like I think Crypto Kitties is that one of the other ones. Like there's a lot of like the big popular NFTs. And because somebody owns that NFT and that image, they can showcase that on platforms like Twitter, and it kind of makes them look like they have, a lot of clout or money or whatever it took to get that. And I think that's cool, right? Like this is part of how people are showing up and expressing themselves and showing their own value and positioning themselves. What I don't like about it is it starts to feel a little competitive. And I did see a glimpse at the title of an article today about how like the crypto communities might be upset. Where was that? That was, it's on my phone somewhere. I think it was on like some stock investing news feed. But I want to look into this and better understand, because at first glance I'm thinking, well, what's wrong with somebody putting their NFT as their profile image? Like, I think that it's so standard. I'm used to seeing that. But maybe somehow there's another level of this that I don't fully understand. So, and you can subscribe to whatever platform you're on if you want to get the notifications, or you can come back around and watch the recordings, or even subscribe to the podcast that I just launched today, which is private. It's just for people that are interested in this. I may do a public podcast around this, but I don't know if I want to put in that much effort. So right now the podcast is literally just the audio recordings of each of these broadcasts for people that prefer to listen that way. So let's see what else I have not covered yet in all of my notes, and then I'm going to wrap up. Maybe I'll leave it off here. So when you're thinking about what is the potential benefit for people, right? For artists and creators selling physical goods, Once the initial asset is sold, there may be an entire secondary market where the artists or creators don't see a cut of the revenue. This is like in the traditional world. But because NFTs are digital goods, the provenance of the original creator is coded into NFT, and the record of ownership follows the NFT even after the primary creator and artist of any sort